hope you're all okay. Welcome back to our YouTube channel and our Italy series. For this episode we are in Sorrento, but we are going to take a boat trip around the Amalfi Coast.
We're going to be stopping off at Amalfi and Positano on the way to check out those lovely little towns. Along the way we'll also be having a bit of a swim in the sea, which has been so inviting all week, so I'm very excited.
So we're just heading now to go and find our boat that is going to take us out for the day.
We booked our boat through getyourguide.com, which had lots of different options. You can choose between private boats or small group boat tours, depending on the size of your party and what you want for your day in the Amalfi Coast. We opted for a small group boat tour as it had roughly 12 spots available, and we were lucky enough to have a large party, so booked the majority of the boat to ourselves. It was a small boat with a seating at the back and lounges at the front, so you can have the whole group together or you can lay back and enjoy. It was £110 per person for the day, and that includes drinks, a light snack and a slow drive-by of multiple locations en route to Positano and Amalfi, with a guide explaining the history of each hotspot. The Amalfi Coast is a 50-kilometre stretch of coastline along the southern edge of the Sorrento Peninsula. It's a popular holiday destination with its sheer cliffs, small beaches and pastel-coloured villages. The coastal road between the port city of Salerno and clifftop Sorrento winds past grand villas, terraced vineyards and cliffside lemon groves. The top 5 rated areas in the Amalfi Coast for their beauty are Amalfi Town, Positano, Sorrento, Roveo, Maiora and Minori. The Amalfi Coast was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997. Like the rest of the region, the Amalfi Coast has a Mediterranean climate featuring warm summers and mild winters. The first point of interest on our tour was a group of private islands just off the coast. They are known as the Galli Islets and have been famous for their wild beauty and captivating history. It is made up of 3 islands, Gallo Lungo, La Rotonda and Isla di Briganti. The owner of the islands has changed various times over the past few decades and are today owned by Italian entrepreneur Giovanni Russo. The archipelago is part of the Punto Campanile Marine Reserve, so protected by a number of measures to preserve its delicate ecosystem and marine life. Because of this, the Galli Islets have remained one of the most pristine and unspoiled archipelagos in the entire Mediterranean and are one of the most unique clusters of islands in the world.
It has also played host to figures such as Barack Obama due to its private but beautiful location. The cliffside views across the coast are beautiful but make it difficult to create the small towns that you see today. The roads have been carefully crafted some 100 years ago and they still stand today. The second hotspot of our tour was Fjordo di Furore, nestled between 2 sheer rock faces that are connected by an arch bridge. This narrow cove is a unique and breathtaking spot on the Amalfi Coast. It draws flocks of travellers, especially during summer, who love swimming in the calm waters and sunbathing on its pebbly beach. You might even catch a couple of adrenaline seekers cliff jumping. From there we continued up the coast to our first stop of the day. Arrived for our 1-hour stop off in Amalfi.
Our first stop of the day was in Amalfi Town. The town is set in the steep cliffs of Italy's southwest coast. Its dramatic aesthetic, along with the stunning colourful houses and blue seas, are what makes it so popular with tourists. Between the 9th and 11th centuries, it was the seat of a powerful maritime republic. The Arab-Norman Sant'Andrea Cathedral at the heart of town and its striped Byzantine facade survived from this era. The town became a popular seaside resort beginning in the Edwardian era, with members of the British upper class spending their winters in Amalfi. Within the town itself, there are an array of restaurants, shops and stunning narrow streets to explore. Sant'Andrea Cathedral sits in the main square, Piazza Duomo. This is the hotspot of the town and is bustling throughout the day. From there you can continue up the main street via Manson Eye. This winds up towards the cliffs with, again, lots of restaurants, shops and gelato along the way. We only had an hour in Amalfi, so this was a very whistle-stop tour. There are plenty more sights to see and things to do here depending on how much time you have in the area.
Our hour in Amalfi is done, so we're now heading back to the boat. We jumped back on the boat at the port of Amalfi and headed back west along the coast towards Positano. Our tour guide gave us a bit of time here to stop just off Amalfi and have a swim in the sea. The water here is crystal clear, so much so that you can see the fish around you without goggles. We enjoyed a short swim before jumping back on the boat and heading west to Positano. The coast itself is absolutely stunning and worth experiencing on its own. You can see the mountains in the distance south of the Amalfi Coast or enjoy the cliffside. We did find that the towns themselves were very busy with tourists, so having the boat to come back to gave us that bit of space and privacy to enjoy the Amalfi Coast in all its glory. Stop number 2 was Positano. Seeing Positano from the water was the best view of the whole town, with panoramic views of the colourful houses, cliffs and coastline. This is arguably the most beautiful town in the whole of the Amalfi Coast.
Now we've arrived at our second location of Positano, so we're going to spend about 2 hours here exploring before we head back on the boat.
Positano is a town and municipality on the Amalfi Coast in the province of Salerno, in the region of Campania in Italy, mainly in an enclave in the hills leading down off the coast. It has 3,678 inhabitants. The first evidence of a settlement in Positano dates back to the Upper Paleolithic, when the Grotto La Porta was frequented by gatherers and hunters. This small cave is located at 120 metres above sea level and at 10 miles on the highway. In 1955, Antonio M. Radmilli at the University of Pisa organised several surveys to identify prehistoric visits, both on the surface and in some caves. During the excavations, several fossils emerged, some of which are malacological-like shells of mollusks, while the fauna is represented by the remains of mammals, wild boar, ibex, deer, and roe deer, birds, amphibians, and fish. The findings made it to be assumed that the people who frequented the caves had an economy based mainly on the collection of mollusks, while hunting for birds and mammals was rather marginal. The first archaeological evidence dates back to the 1st century BC, when luxuriant Rome villas were built on the coast of the Sorrento Peninsula. Romans began settling at Positano around 100 BC. Positano became a wealthy market port from the 15th to 17th century and has only continued to grow in popularity over time. Back then, they traded food such as fish and other resources. Positano was a port of the Amalfi Republic in medieval times and prospered during the 16th and 17th century. By the mid-19th century, however, the town had fallen on hard times. More than half the population emigrated, mostly to America.
Positano was a relatively poor fishing village during the first half of the 20th century. It began to attract large numbers of tourists in the 1950s. If you're looking for a beach to swim at along the Amalfi Coast instead of from a boat, then there's a small choice that you can pick from. This includes Marina Grande, Lido del Serene, Porto, La Morinella and Santa Croce. The coasts are not overrun with beaches due to the cliffs, however there's lots of options for beach clubs or bars that offer decking to lounge at or enjoy a swim.
Speaking of the cliffs, part of our trip included a surprise visit to one of the small caves within the cliffside that sits on the water. There are a few boats lined up waiting their turn to go in, but we didn't wait long. You don't get very deep into the cave. We sat more in the mouth of the small cave. However, the main attraction to coming here is the fish in the water below. Because the water is so clear, you can see them in the beautiful turquoise water. Our guide allowed some of the guests to feed the fish, so they were very close to the boat. This was an amazing addition to an already perfect day and really gave a well-rounded experience to the Amalfi Coast. Once we were done at the caves, we set off back to our final stop of Sorrento. On the way, we got to see Capri and Mount Vesuvius. Our guide talked us through the histories of the area throughout the day, but also let us enjoy our time. The perfect way to explore the Amalfi Coast in a day.
That's all from us for the Amalfi Coast. We had a really great day and the boat trip was the perfect thing for us. We highly recommend it to anyone who wants to do the Amalfi Coast and doesn't know how to do it.
That was on this vlog. Thank you guys for watching and we'll see you again soon for the next one.